You're welcome to a fresh edition of your program, Towards a Greater Nigeria. And I still remain your anchor, Omotayo Omotosho. Since President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, assumed office on the 29th of May 2015, he has set his hands on the plow and he hasn't looked back. Our president has been striving so hard to deliver the three major priorities he did tell us that he was going to focus on. Working so hard on the issue of insecurity, some people call it insurgency, the issue of corruption. Of course, there is this huge war against corruption today, and striving also to revamp our economy. Who says change has not started? I dare say change has started. But for you and I to see the change in all its ramifications, we must key in to this change agenda, which is simply you and I doing the right things. That's the only way we can move Nigeria forward. And for us to record the huge progress you and I desire for Nigeria, we must look at behavioral change, attitudinal change, psychological change, sociological change, and perceptual change. Of course, you and I must ask ourselves, how in our own individual way do we contribute our little quota towards doing things better and making Nigeria greater? Tonight, we have keyed in on the change agenda, on Towards a Greater Nigeria, and we're bringing you a fresh edition of this program. Make sure you don't go away. It promises to be very, very interesting, exciting, and you will hear from a cross-section of Nigerians what they are saying about moving Nigeria forward. Don't go away.
On Friday, May 29, 2015, a new president was sworn in to take Nigeria through another 4 years of nationhood. For Muhammadu Buhari, a long-sought ambition had eventually become reality. Providence had used the electorate to put him in a position to make a national dream begin to come true. And right from his inauguration on that fateful day in May, the Nigerian president has hardly rested for a day as he engaged in one activity after another to start correcting the wrongs against Nigeria, which he had often lamented as clearly avoidable. That's character honed in the resilience of sincere belief in the right to a good life for every Nigerian. Right from his days in the uniformed service to the fatherland, Buhari is reputed to have been driven by a sense of purpose, a burning desire to promote the good of all, and an unquenchable thirst for social and individual justice. Just 3 months of his tenancy in Aso Rock has seen the Nigerian president, through the dedicated service of the nation's security forces, dealing a telling blow on the terrorist group Boko Haram. Commanders of the insurgency are on the run, while officers and men of the nation's security outfits are relentless in their efforts to bring them to book. There was a promise to tackle insecurity head-on. That promise is being kept. The queues at the filling stations have disappeared as motorists now buy fuel without hassles. Not to be glossed over is the marked improvement in power supply across the country as millions of Nigerians pray for and work with an administration they consider to be on a genuine rescue mission. In spite of these achievements, critics mouth one blame or another about an administration which the ordinary man still thanks God over their coming. At the moment, the Buhari administration has started prosecuting yet another major electoral pledge, fighting corruption. Out there on the streets, Nigerians show a reaction that demonstrates that not only the government harbors hopes of a return to bright sunshining days again.
Actually, he has tried so far. Because what I mean by he has tried is because a lot of people that are into some dubious means, trying to embezzle money and all that, the way he's going about it, I believe that his administration will be better than the other ones.
He's making a sale. Yes, he's making steady progress. I see his administration as an administration that is pragmatic. So far, although a lot of people have different feelings about the way things are going on. But everybody is entitled to his or her opinion. But for me, as a person, I think he's making a sale. He's making some very outstanding pragmatic steps towards the problem of this country.
Buhari administration, to me, to Nigeria, is a God-sent administration that has come to liberate our suffering democracy from the witness ills we have suffered under the PDP-led administration that just passed away. I think it's a welcome development. It's a prayer. It's an answer prayer. The arrival of Buhari to Nigeria is an answer prayer beyond democratic practice.
The regime here right now, I believe, changes that is coming up. As he say, he's going to change the country for good. I believe it. One, the money laundering is trap. Second, he was talking about, I am hearing about one account for the whole federation. All the ministries and agencies are going to have one account. Therefore, corruption in that aspect of diverting the money is trapped there. So I'm very much happy.
Buhari himself is a good man, and people that are going to work with him, I think they should be able to work with him perfectly right. And his administration is a very good administration.
I think since I was born and I get to know myself as a man, I get to know myself as a man. I think this is one of the, though he has just starting, but this is one of the best administrations I've ever witnessed as a man. So it's good and it's nice, and I believe that that man is taking us somewhere.
Yeah. Buhari administration, everybody we know that it's all about change, and we have started to see the change, but it's too early to maybe give credit to it. But at the same time, we have seen what he has done. Yes, in my area, to talk about electricity, before you can have light, it will take you maybe 1 or 2 weeks. But now we are having constant light. So we have experienced the change.
If I want to rate him, I would say fair. As an average Nigerian, we are still watching. We just cross our arms and we are watching, and we want to believe that with time, everything will take shape.
The Israelis needed Moses, and they got Moses. Nigeria, we needed Buhari, and he's coming to take us to the promised land.
So far, so good. Buhari's administration is on the average side, because this is the early stage, the first 3 months. I hope if we still give him chances, he's going to do better than other administrations.
A few days ago, the president's media spokesman, Femi Adesina, had reason to alert Nigerians to the erroneous belief that the president had, prior to his election, listed certain things he would accomplish within the first 100 days in office. Adesina struck down some of the pledges bandied about by persons whose statements obviously did not have the blessings of Muhammadu Buhari. While he sought to put the record straight, Adesina was, however, not oblivious of the modest achievements of the administration in such a short period. The now blossoming relations between Nigeria and its immediate geographical neighbors, particularly in the areas where the insurgency had been most intense, was mentioned by Adesina. So was the reintroduction of hard work and good ethics at the workplace. The president could also not stomach the issue of workers being owed a backlog of salaries. The ongoing process of cancelling those salary arrears is still being applauded by many Nigerians. But just as the president once said himself, corruption is the single most devastating human rights abuse. Many of his compatriots out there in the street fully support this view. They want an end to greed and graft.
It will change, and it started to be changing. Because if they want to do anything in the office, you understand, they will say, it's changed, oh. Everybody adjust. Because during the time of Buhari and what did they call it? Call him, he's late now. Idi Agbon. Shall you understand? There is a discipline. There is a discipline. If you want to enter buses, you have to kill. During that time, on Saturday, there is a schedule that we give the civil service people. We will go around sweeping the floor, the compound of the people, washing the toilet. Shall you understand? Everybody was disciplined, and anything you have, you content with it. We are happy, of course, yes. That time, then we bring, what did they call it? Starfish, rice, a civil servant. How much is the money? 75,000. And they pay us half pay and full pay. And we are enjoying. Shall you understand? We have fear of God, but now there's no fear of God.
Well, we are expecting to see change, physical changes. But when things are done the way the other administration was doing, it means the physical change we want to see is not going to be there. You know, as I said earlier, 100 days is still good enough to vet the government. But to me, they are still at the learning process. They are still starting. Even though some of them have been in previous government before. But Nigeria today is different from Nigeria yesterday. It's different from Nigeria yesterday. We want to see changes in terms of corruption, because I can see the government with a purpose of fighting corruption in Nigeria. You see, when you meet your son and another family son fighting, caution your own first. Once you have cautioned your own, you have the stamina to also caution the other family child. So the corruption war should begin from inside APC led government. Who are the APC-led government? Who are in the government presently? Look inwardly.
Nigerians who are saying Buhari is slow. Baba is not slow. He don't need money to go and still hide in overseas. He's not looking to build a house in Metama and Wuse. He's out to serve the common mass in Nigeria. All those who stole Nigerian money, as a matter of urgency, to return the money to better the life of a common man that work for the change. To have a better Nigeria where democracy can work, everything can work to the glory of God. The Bible says we came here to this world with nothing and we shall go back to God with nothing. Corruption is one of our major problems, but I still repeat that corruption is there, but our problem, the issue of the right leadership and the right orientation. The preacher, the pastors and the imam need to be cautioned. Vast majority of pastors have contributed to our problem in Nigeria today. They are the ones exonerating corruption. They were praying for the corrupt element. They never questioned that. They were giving them false seats. And I said that after the last election, some pastors need to go to jail. I've said it often and often.
Thank you, God.
Billions of naira was shared in the church. Nobody talk. They say politics for devil, and they were the one praying for the devil, giving them false seats in the church. Politics is an idea given to man to manage the human resources in the country. It's not devil. It's how you manage the money and the resources that is devilish. Nigerians should be aware that politics is not for devil. If you have a calling to become a senator, it's not the sin. To become a president is not the sin. And Buhari is a nice man. Before he go, we should work together as Nigeria and bring out God-fearing people that have the leaders to manage this country. And I'm aware that corruption is already whipping in Nigeria. It's a settled matter. And we are going to join the anti-corruption war. Whatever it will cost us, either on the bicycle, on the foot, on barefoot, we are going to join him to win the war. War against corruption is a victory for Nigeria.
Some quarter believe that the fight against corruption in Nigeria is sectional. It's like an unpick kind of war against corruption. However, if what was promised, if what they promised during their campaign is effective, and what we are seeing right now is being enhanced, I think Nigeria will get to a brighter future. I see a better days for Nigeria. Recently, I noticed that there are jobs being advertised for. I also noticed that he's fighting corruption from the grassroots this time.
He's just coming on board. He's not even up to 100 days in office. So we don't expect him to perform magic. Of course, he's not a magician. So he needs, like he said, that he needs to be steady. He wants to run a steady, slow but steady government. So we don't expect him in 100 days to solve the problem of insecurity, solve the problem of power, solve the problem of, no, he can't, it's not possible.
Nigerians may be grateful for the new dawn they are experiencing. But what strikes you more than anything else at the moment is the air of security that is returning to the country.
You can see it yourself now, that you can sleep 2 eyes closed in wherever you are staying.
Actually, Buhari regime is very, very fantastic administration. But the only thing that you're going to face is only some problems. Buhari actually is going to face a very critical find Nigeria in one kind of critical condition because all the resources of Nigeria have been sapped by corruption. So the only thing now, he has to table the corruption into zero. And Buhari actually alone cannot even table the corruption alone. Sincerely speaking, we too are Nigerian, we are going to fight the corruption. There are some ways we can even fight the corruption. Sincerely speaking, not even following the looters or there's a head of janitor or whatever like this. We too, we are corrupt, sincerely speaking.
First and foremost, for change to take place in Nigeria, we need to change our perception. So I would want to suggest that this administration should do a massive reorientation of every Nigerian so that our perception about change will really be, be entrenched into the system. And moreover, I don't think every Nigerian understands the philosophy of change. So there should be a standing philosophy that can be recited even by a little child, so that when you are doing anything, you know that you are in change. It's not just being, okay, we are change. What are we changing from and where are we changing to? So these are some of the things. There should be a philosophy of change in this administration.
As he said, change. So we are hoping for change. And I believe everybody is hoping for change too.
Listening to these respondents naturally evoked portions of the interview we earlier had with the Nigerian president. Part of what he said then was the need to create avenues for the country's army of mostly young unemployed persons to seek and gain profitable engagement. The president knows that idle minds are a gunpowder keg, and reasonable societies work against looming calamity.
Secondly, economy, unemployment of youth. It is reliably mentioned that over 60% of Nigerian population are youth. And most of these youth, whether they have been to school or not, are unemployed. And I saw this clearly in all the states I have visited. Young men, I think in their early 20s, certainly from 30 downwards, they normally dictate the face of convoys. They go in front, they are running, sweating in the sun. And on several occasions, I felt really frightened because if these young men turn against authorities, there's nothing authority can do.
You're right, sir.
The third one is corruption. So we have to break this vicious circle. Insecurity, the downturn of the economy, unemployment, and corruption. I believe Nigerians know that we have got a Herculean task. And the way we have approached it certainly is to make sure that the military, the police, and other law enforcement agencies have really been properly trained, equipped, and that their morale is high.
Tied to efforts to generate employment is the president's pledge to work at bolstering Nigeria's productivity in areas where it has comparative advantage.
This takes me to the issue of the dollar exchanging for over 200. And I heard you sometime talk about how sad this could be. Never in the history of Nigeria had the naira exchanged to the tune of 224 naira to $1. it is inexplicable. How do you intend enhancing the value of our naira?
Well, with this, I had discussion with the Governor of Central Bank. When the Central Bank is making desperate efforts to stabilize the naira, I think I'm an economist only by experience. I haven't read.
Experience is good enough, Your Excellency.
Well, the economic
you
books.
Buy it cheap.
But at our stage of development, yes, our main problem, how can we get our industries working again? I'll give you of one area I understand through my personal association, textiles. The Nigerian textile industry used to employ more than 320,000 Nigerians. That's one industry alone, between Kaduna, Kano, Aba, yeah, and Ikeja, I think.
Lagos part of it.
Exactly. Now they are employing, I think, less than 30,000. A serious government will say, what is happening to over 280,000 who used to work in the textile industry? And if we work out, behind every Nigerian worker, there may be 4 people. I thought a serious government should have done something about industries.
You're right.
For that reason, what we realize and what we intend to do is first of all, make sure as quickly as humanly possible we get power so that these industries can come up again. And then agriculture will increase the cotton growing areas to grow cotton and ginneries and so on. So the basic infrastructure is on the ground. And then to make sure that this question of imports from toothpick to rice is very irritating. So we sat with the Governor Central Bank, and I think he drew a list of 24 items from rice to toothpick. I say those items, nobody should be given our hard currency for those things. No Nigerian will die if he did not use a China-made toothpick. Our rice is being dumped on us, is making it uncompetitive for our farmers. We have the land, we have the weather, we can grow rice. So let us wake up and be self-sufficient in food security. So really, these are the things we are agonizing over right away. So if by some arrangement the naira is allowed to slide, we will try and see how we can resuscitate it. But what we want is for our entrepreneurs to be able to buy machinery, spare parts, essential raw materials, and get our factories starting again. Those ones, if they made case to central bank, they will be given hard currency concession because it will be identified and quantified. This is the way we are going to work.
The inevitable fallout of this is the ongoing review of the import policy of the government as it relates to staple foods. The Nigerian authorities consider this a major plank of the turnaround the economy will experience. At the end of the day, some of those interviewed expressed hope of a brighter tomorrow. Their optimism is not loose wishes in the air. The path of the Buhari government so far puts up a strong suggestion that the most populous black nation is stirring from a long slumber and getting ready to assume the kind of leadership it has always been known for.
Well, Nigerians, everyone have spoken, cross-section of our people, and I tell you, change has started. You may ask, what is the role you got to play? It is indeed very, very pertinent to ask, because in your own little way, you have something that you need do. If you've been doing things wrongly, let us learn to do things right. As simple as that. Today we are lucky as a nation to have a gentleman that is not just committed to Mother Nigeria, what has been described as an irrepressible nationalist and a man standing tall amongst equals.